Before we talk about sexual assault awareness month, I know the Crisis Intervention Center has been in Fort Smith for quite a while. Explain what you all do on a daily basis.
Yeah, so we've been here since 1979, a few different locations. We've been in this building since 2009. We are the Greater River Valley region's domestic violence, family violence, sexual assault, stalking, harassment, and human trafficking, safe shelter, information referral service, case management services, childcare services for those families, therapy for those families. And we're also the regional suicide hotline. So our hotline advocates are very, very busy day in and day out, 24 hours a day, as is the shelter.
So you all stay pretty darn busy 7 days a week.
Yeah, it's some days are busier than others. The hotline's pretty average. You never know. One day you can have 30 people in shelter. The next day you might have 7. An hour later, you might be back up to 15 or 20. It fluctuates with the needs of the victims. It is their choice to come into shelter. And if they choose to leave shelter, there's no repercussions to that on our end. We want to help them find their voice and do what they think is best for them and their family, while we're also giving them their victims' rights statement and some statistics about what to look for, the cycle of violence, how to safety plan. We do a lot of safety planning with victims who choose to return to that environment for whatever reason. There are millions of reasons that victims stay. And we want to make sure that everyone understands that you don't have to stay in shelter to receive our advocacy services, to attend our peer groups or support groups or therapy. We have lots of outreach services that we do for victims that don't ever need shelter or want to stay in shelter, but we can still help them as well.
For those that you do serve, how do you find them, or do they find you? Does it come with a recommendation from like police departments? How does that work?
We get a lot of police department phone calls, hospital referrals for victims that have been injured. There's actually a law in Arkansas called Laura's Law. It was passed several years ago, where police officers responding to a domestic violence scene do a lethality assessment, very similar to what our hotline advocates do. They ask them a series of 5 questions at the scene, and if they answer yes to any one of those questions, they give them our information and say, this is who you need to talk to. And our detectives in this area, our police officers in this area, especially Fort Smith, will say, if you want to go to shelter, we can get you there right now. And it's one of the few times that law enforcement officers in this area will put a civilian in their car that's not under arrest. They will help get them to safety. And I brag a lot on the Fort Smith Police Department just because we're in the city limits of Fort Smith, but Chief Baker and Captain Parkinson and Deputy Chief Thompson and Detective O'Connor, Detective Amelia, I could name a million of them. They are in and out of this building, and they truly understand the community policing piece of domestic violence and sexual assault. The victim comes first, but they also know if we don't do something about that perpetrator, they're going to do it to someone else. So it's been a long time since Fort Smith has had that type of partnership out of our building with the police department. Of the 30 plus other domestic violence centers in the state of Arkansas, almost all of them have reached out to me about how we establish that partnership and how it works, with confidentiality being so important. And you don't have to report a crime to receive services here. So a lot of people are confused how that works, but we've worked really, really hard to make sure that our officers are trained on victim-centered protocols for sexual assault response and domestic violence response, not just for the victim, but also for the officers. It's one of the most dangerous times for a police officer. It's one of the most dangerous things for them to respond to. So I tell my people when we're in police academy or when I'm talking to them at the department or here in the building, I truly believe that a police officer's most important job is to go home safe to their families every day. And for us to help them do that, we have to have proper training.
Let's talk about the relationship that you have with United Way. It's been a long time as well too, and it'd be difficult to survive without United Way.
Yeah, we're so fortunate to have a local chapter of United Way. I have a lot of history with them and I understand how it works. There aren't a lot of umbrella agencies that 100% stays local, and you can give in such a multitude of ways, in-kind donations, volunteer time, or payroll deduction system. So big, huge piece of what we do is we talk about community awareness and community safety. Those fit right into what
Mhm.
United Way is trying to do and build stronger families and stronger communities. So we're very grateful to always be considered in their allocation process. We have Day of Caring coming up. We'll have big projects here then. The golf tournament's coming up. We'll have a team in the golf
Mhm.
tournament and we'll do a whole sponsorship. It's important that we also have stake in the game. It's very difficult for nonprofits to go to a company and always be asking for support and asking for help if that nonprofit themselves is not also supporting other community agencies. We have to get out of our own little silos and realize that it takes everyone to make it work. It doesn't do me any good to give someone shelter and then try to put them into housing if they don't have a job, or try to get them a job if they don't have job training or education. There's so many loops that need to connect in that, I call it the magician's piece, where they try to pull the chain apart. We have to make sure that all of the partner agencies are working together. So to have that community support through United Way is really important.
Sexual Assault Awareness Month. I know we've been doing this for a number of years. Is it working? Are people getting the message?
I think so. It's really hard to do an outcome measurement type thing on sexual assault because one year we say, oh, this many reported, but that doesn't necessarily show how many people were actually assaulted, because you don't have to report to receive services. The national statistics still tell us that only about 1 out of 8 are reported to law enforcement officers. I like to think that in this area, people know they can come to us because we
Mhm.
are very busy in our sexual assault center. We are overwhelmed with our sexual assault services department. And we're also a national human trafficking center. So we've probably seen 5 human trafficking victims in the last 60 to 70 days. And that's all sex trafficking, not labor trafficking. So it's that piece of the Sexual Assault Awareness Month this year is really big to us because we're about to adopt 9 new counties. The Crisis Intervention Center here will have an outreach human trafficking and sexual assault center somewhere down close to the Hope or Nashville area, because right now there's not a service center. And with Interstate 49 corridor coming
Mhm.
through, it's going to connect with Interstate 40 right here in Crawford County and the Sebastian County area. So we want to make sure that we're proactive and ready for that. So we're going to go down and do some law enforcement training, get some community resources put in place for those victims that end up in those areas to make sure that they know which hospitals have SANE nurses to do the sexual assault nurse examiners to do the sexual assault exams, the hotline numbers they can call to report. But unfortunately, some new national numbers came out last week or week before, and Arkansas is second in sexual assaults per adults. Alaska is first, Arkansas is second. It's not the number 2 you want to be of the United States and its territories. That includes the territories as well. So we have about 758 sexual assaults per 100,000 adult victims. So that's, 1 is too many, but 758 is that's a lot, and that's what's reported. So you can do the math on that. If only 1 in 8 report, that's way too many people to undergo sexual assault. So our first job is to believe them, be good listeners, explain to them the process of the examination. If they choose to report or not choose to report, explain to them how that process works and the longevity of that process, because there are a lot of things that are out of our control as victim advocates. There are a lot of things that are out of law enforcement's control once it goes to the prosecutor's office, and the judiciary process for a sexual assault victim, when they have to take the stand or talk about things that are that personal, it's very overwhelming.
And
We
that's where the
don't want
stigma
that.
comes in. I mean, there's still a stigma with this.
There's absolutely a stigma, and we hear that still a lot here. And that's another reason why our relationship with the Fort Smith Police Department is so incredibly important. Our detectives come here, they're not in uniform. They're carrying a weapon, but you don't see
Mhm.
the weapon. They come here, we've set up a soft interview room. They don't have to go to the police department to an interrogation style room to talk. They're not out in public telling their story. They don't have to go to the emergency room and wait for 4 hours and see their neighbor or someone they go to church with or someone they work with. So that piece of the puzzle for community safety, it is giant here at the Crisis Intervention Center, to make people feel safe and try to get them where they, I don't even sometimes like to use the word heal,
Mhm.
because I don't know that you ever truly heal from that trauma. We can help you learn to cope with it, and we can give you the tools and resources you need to be comfortable with your body again, to be comfortable with yourself, and to feel safe. But each individual survivor's path is very different when it comes to healing.
How much of this or the effort of this month is to try to get a message out or an effort out to quote unquote break the cycle? Because this is passed down generation to generation. How much of this, how much of an effort is there to break this cycle?
That's really big here. We've a lot of the awareness events that we do and some of the publications we put out, and for all ages, is to tell them that what you're experiencing is not normal. It's normal to you because you've been dealing with it for so long. If you grew up in an abusive home and you're an adult now and you're still in an abusive home, that's all you know.
Mhm.
So to you, it's how life is supposed to be. We can show you that there's a healthier way, a safer way, a better way. It's not, it is not normal to feel intimidated. It is not normal to feel coerced. It is not normal to only be able to go to the grocery store it, with a $5 bill, and then you have to turn your receipt in. It is not normal for your phone to be tracked. Those coercive control things are very real to the lot of
Mhm.
victims that we see, and they're not normal. It is not normal behavior. And so we really try to tell the public, it's very similar to if you see something, say something.
Mhm.
It's okay to tell someone, hey, are you uncomfortable with that situation? Because if you are, I know where to send you for help. Just make a phone call. Talk to them on the phone. You don't even have to tell us your name initially. Talk to our hotline operators, our advocates on the phone. Talk to our therapists. Let us see if there's something we can do to make you feel good about yourself.
Mhm.
And it's it's 9 out of 10 times, especially with the female victims that we see, because we also serve male victims.
Mhm.
But most of the female victims that we see, they've been under some type of coercive control since childhood, and they just don't know that there's a different path to take. So we really want the community to understand that we can help break that cycle through our peer support groups and through our services here at the center.
Speaking of that, and I wish we could talk for hours about this. To get more information about the intervention center and about this month, what's the easiest way to do that?
Yeah, so anytime they can call our business line at 479-782-1821, or they can always call the hotline and ask to be transferred. And the hotline runs 24/7, 365. It is 1-800-359-0056. We do have a sexual assault services department coordinator who's been working events all across the area this month. Her name is Belinda Adams, and she is phenomenal. And if anyone has any questions or wants to volunteer or wants to support some type of awareness event or have any of our materials out at your offices this month, we would be happy to partner with you and bring some stuff by.
All right, Penni Burns, Crisis Intervention Center Director, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure we'll be talking soon again.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day.